And to Britain now, where Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, he soon could be sacked, you know, or he'll certainly lead his Conservative Party to an absolute wipeout. Can you believe it? Boris Johnson and someone who stayed so long I could barely remember her name, Liz Truss, and then this guy, and oh my God, it's just, and all in the space of, what is it, a year or something? Now, the reason that he's now likely be for the chop is that immigration issue again, especially fake refugees and illegal immigration. That's now a massive issue in Britain, like it is in most of Europe. Politicians around the continent have wanted to ignore it, but voters have had enough of what's looking now like colonisation. Not immigration, colonisation. I thought the left was against it. A takeover, in fact. Now, overnight, there will be a key vote on Rishi Sunak's plan to send asylum seekers on a one-way trip to Rwanda instead. Surprise! The good news, you've reached Britain. The bad news is you're off to Rwanda. The plan's been slammed. Last year, former Home Secretary Suella Braverman quit, saying the plan was still not strong enough. Other senior Conservatives also quit, two as recently as today. Joining me now from London is Star GB News presenter Patrick Christys. Patrick, great to see you again. Happy New Year. I'm told you've been holidaying in Norway for the last week, which is bizarre. It sounds to me like holidaying in your freezer, dark and icy. Why on earth?
Yeah, no, well, that's true, yes, and I've come back with the flu, but we did manage to see the Northern Lights. But I've walked back into, I've walked back into an absolute hellscape here in London at the moment, because you mentioned it there that there might as well just be a revolving door outside Downing Street at the moment, with the amount of Conservative Party leaders that we've got wandering in and then being ushered straight back out again. There is a very important vote tonight, and it's on that Rwanda plan. Look, the Prime Minister can't get it right. The British public have had enough when it comes to people coming here illegally. The British public have had enough, frankly, when it comes to some people coming here legally, actually. But he's lost a Home Secretary, he's lost an Immigration Minister, he's lost the right wing of his party, he's lost the British public. And the point is that he's trying to force through a bill that actually might not even legally be allowed to deport anybody to Rwanda. Why? Because he won't ignore international courts, the ECHR, and just do what's in Britain's best interest. So still being at the mercy of foreign courts, quite possibly because he doesn't want to ruin his legacy on the dinner party circuit after he's voted out in a few months.
That is such a story of so many Conservative politicians, so-called, over the last decade, certainly since, the days of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. Do you think Rishi Sunak really is for the chop?
There is a very good chance, because it would only take about 30 Conservative MPs to vote against it. Yesterday, there was a couple of votes on some amendments to this bill that would seek to toughen it up. So it would seek to make it easier for us, frankly, to actually deport people to Rwanda. Now, they had about 70 rebels voting for those amendments. If all 70 of those vote against the government's bill, then that's it. And what that would mean is essentially a vote of no confidence in Rishi Sunak. It would mean a snap election. The difficulty that people have on the right in this country is that when it comes to the next general election, they could vote for a new upstart party called Reform UK. That would almost definitely just hand the keys to Downing Street to the Labour Party. That would mean a socialist hellscape here in Britain. If the rebels vote against Rishi Sunak today, the same thing happens. So do they just suck it up and vote for something they don't like to try to keep Labour out? The argument is that this version of the Conservative Party is pretty socialist anyway, so it might not make that much of a difference.
It's so amazing how immigration has, the public around Europe has said enough. You know, you had first the election of Giorgia Meloni in Italy on an anti-immigration program. Sure, she hasn't delivered much of what she promised, but that was it. You've had the rise of the alternative for Deutschland, for Germany. In Germany, you've had the rise in the polls of Marine Le Pen, anti-immigration in France. You've had the amazing election victory in Holland of an anti-immigration leader, Geert Wilders, although he hasn't yet been made Prime Minister. And now in Britain, what has happened that suddenly people are saying enough?
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold, okay? So there's legal immigration, which is that we've had net migration of 750,000 people to this country, which is absolutely astonishing. That's been coupled with a housing crisis, a problem with all of our major public services, and massive cultural problems, the likes of which we now see spilling out onto the streets of Britain every single Saturday, with a load of people who are coming out and spouting quite radical Islamist ideology everywhere you go. So those are massive problems, and people are sick of that. You've also got the illegal side of it, costing taxpayers loads of money and putting the public at risk. And the vast majority of people are now saying enough is enough. There was a poll that took place this week, Andrew, where people underestimated the amount of net migration to this country by 10 times. And still, 9 out of 10 constituencies want an immigration cut. They would have some kind of hemorrhage if they found out the true number of people who are actually coming to this country every single year. The biggest losers in all this are the British public. They know what they want, but our politicians are not acting on it.
Well, Britain, 2.5 times our size. Our immigration over a year was more than it was about 540,000. Yours, 750 per person. We're way ahead of you, and still our government doesn't get the message. Harry and Meghan Markle, a new book now shows they managed to offend even the Queen not long before she died. They claim they named their daughter Lilibet, the pet name of the Queen, in honour of her and with her approval. A new book by Robert Hardman says that's absolutely false. The Queen was disgusted. What is he revealing?
Yeah, so apparently the Queen said that she did not give permission to Harry and Meghan to use the name Lilibet, that they were potentially okay with using the name Elizabeth. Fine, quite a common name, that's okay. She said, I don't own the castles, I don't own the palaces, I don't own the artwork, but I own my name, and now they've taken that. That's the quote. Supposedly Palisades had never seen our Queen even angrier than she was then. I mean, look, Harry and Meghan managed to basically ruin everything. They made the last moments of Prince Philip's life miserable. They made the last moments of the Queen's life miserable. They made it even more miserable, apparently, by naming their daughter Lilibet, who they're not actually even letting see their grandfather now, the new King Charles. The concern, apparently, amongst the palace now as well, Andrew, is that Harry's going to write a sequel to Spare. I mean, what else can he write about, for goodness sake? It's just going to be absolutely ridiculous. But we could be getting more from Harry, a new book, because apparently they didn't think they included enough detail about their wedding. Well, we paid for the flipping thing, so it'd be nice if we actually got some money back for that.
Oh, mate. I noticed that Harry and Meghan's unofficial spokesman, Omid Scobie, has tweeted in protest. He says none of these revelations are doing the late Queen any favours. They contradict details shared by the palace with the cooperatively written biography in 2022. No good. No. Is he right?
The Queen, obviously, arguably the greatest ever living Brit and the world's best ever monarch, will no doubt be turning in her grave over what Omid Scobie has to say. I mean, that guy lied about his age, he lied about the vast majority, appears to have lied about the vast majority of his physical appearance as well, when you have a look at it. He's had a very, very difficult relationship with the truth, so, yeah.
Absolutely. Patrick Christys, great to see you back. Thank you very much.